Well, thanks everyone for joining us. My name is Simon Kitchison, product manager here at Remsoft for our Telematics suite. So my focus is the layer that sits between the machines working in the forest and the decisions you're making back in the office. But I'm not here to be the main voice. That's the intent, right? The story you're here for belongs to the team at Chantiers Chibougamau, who've been living this for the better part of 2, 3, or more years. It's been a bit of a journey. So I wanted to set the stage and then reconnect at the end to talk a little bit about the technology underneath everything that they have done. So the next 45 minutes or so will look a bit like this. I'll open with some context, problem, why visibility in forestry operations is harder than it looks on the surface. And then Lloydie is going to walk us through Chantier's implementation of the results that they're seeing. I'll come back at the end for a brief overview of the technology parts, and then we'll have lots of time for live question and answers. But let me begin with a question of my own. And hold on to your answer. We're going to come back to this at the end of the presentation. So for now, I want to sit in the gap between that question, which is, a pretty high level one, and the day-to-day reality of running your operations, right? And that's where all this story lives. If you run forest operations, none of this will be new to you, right? The data exists. Every machine in your fleet generates it. Position, production, activity, all sorts of different data points. Collecting it has never really been the problem. The problem is that the machines work where your network doesn't. So data sits on the drive in the cab until someone likely physically drives out to collect it, or the machine returns to connectivity. By the time it reaches anyone who can use it, it's often stale. And that means that decisions lag behind, right? You're managing today's harvest with last week's information, and that gap has real consequences, right? For compliance, for cost control, etc. So it's not a data collection problem, it's a data movement problem and a data trust problem, which brings me to what we actually need. When we talk to operations leader, the same three things come up almost every time. Starting from the bottom of the pyramid, right? First is data that people trust. If your team doesn't believe it in the accuracy, timeliness of it, no one's going to use it. Trust is the foundation and nothing else is going to work without it. The second piece is visibility or maybe availability, right? Data showing up where decisions actually get made, not buried on a drive, not in a report that lands on someone's desk or inbox and gathers dust, right? And thirdly, and at the top of the pyramid, data that drives action, not data for the sake of data itself for reporting, but data that actually changes what you do next and informs your decision making. So trust, visibility, action. Keep those three things in mind because they're the thread running through a lot of what Lloydie is about to show you. So at this point, I'll hand it over to Lloydie to take us into the Chantier story. And I'll give you control here, Lloydie, as well.
Okay, thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today to sharing with you our experience for implementing UpTracker in our forest operation in Quebec. First, I will talk a little bit about Chantiers Chibougamau. Chantiers Chibougamau is a family-owned business established in 1961 in northern Quebec. It started as a small sawmill, but has grown ever since, becoming a large company through significant innovation and product diversification. Today, Chantiers Chibougamau operates 5 softwood sawmills, 1 craft pulp mill, and an engineer wood plant located in Chibougamau that has made the company reputation. Our products are branded under the name Nordics, which you may already have heard about. Our total capacity, transformation capacity for our mills is about 3.2 million cubic meter. Our wood supply comes mainly from 25 forest management units located in the province of Quebec in Canada. 10 of those are certified with the FSC standard. And we mainly operate harvesting in 3 regions, so northern Quebec, western Quebec, and northern Ontario. Over the last few years, Chantiers Chibougamau expanded significantly by acquiring competitor sawmills to consolidate its supply chain and production capacity. With this rapid expansion, organizing and sharing data and information has quickly became a priority in both forestry operation and mill supply chain. Just to give you an idea of the scale of this task, here's a look at the FMU, where the company holds long-term forest harvesting rights. The territory stretches to 550 kilometers from north to south, and from nearly 600 kilometers from east to west. As you can see, the light green area are those where the FMU that are certified with the FSC. So having a large number of harvesting crew spread across the field and managed by multiple operational units makes it challenging to get an accurate overview of the progress of the operation. So it became obvious that the need for a large-scale telematics solution was not merely desirable, but had become essential for the efficient running of our forest operation and for an effective management of our wood supply. We were starting with multiple operational teams coming from different companies, working independently, each with their own structure and tracking system. Some operational units have no tracking system, while others use tracking solutions like Endel, GPS, or even Avenza Map. So basically, we had no consistent data quality or reliability throughout our operation. Obviously, there was no standardization of the data, and all the processes remain heavily on manual operation. So it was difficult to have timely information to take the right decision at the right time. So we had to act. What we're looking for when we start looking for possible solution for a global tracking solution system, there were key elements that we wanted to address. First, we wanted to have the most data, standardized tracking data across all machine type, whether it is harvester, feather buncher, cut to length machinery, skidder, processor. We also wanted to remove as much as possible human and manual processes throughout the operation, and mainly in the data collection and processing. We wanted a system that had a great capacity for mapping to help the operator to have all the tools to operate securely and efficiently on the field. And we wanted a system to ensure operational compliance when we can manage a good map versioning system. Of course, as you have seen with the large territory that we have, we cannot guarantee that we will have connectivity throughout the territory. So offline capability was a must. And lastly, we wanted a system that was integrated with ArcGIS environment because our data and our team are working with that system. So we wanted to prevent as much as possible data manipulation and transformation for other systems. So we were convinced that UpTracker would allow us to meet those requirements. So beginning in 2023, we began an UpTracker pilot. Chantiers Chibougamau had worked previously with Telematics along with the FPDAT system. But in 2023, we started implement UpTracker with two machines in the Beyond division. We later had expand the use of UpTracker to all 8 machines from that division the next year. and we were pleased with the results. So in 2025, we implement the tracker solution in three other operational units for a total of 38 harvesters. We mainly focus the data collection for the first year for the harvester because it was for us it was the main place where we would wanted to have upgrades. And now this year, we continue the expansion of the UpTracker application throughout our operation with the expansion to forwarder and skidders. One of our main concern toward the implementation of a tracking system throughout all the company was the reaction of the operator. Resistance to change may become an issue for all system implementation. One thing you have to consider when you implementing such a system is that the everyday user will be the operator. So we were really cautious when we implement the application for the first year. Our level of expectation was quite low. Our objective was quite low. For the first year, we wanted to have the system in all machine taking the tracking data, but we wanted to minimize the interaction from the operator with the application, just to that he can get acclimatized to having to work with it. One thing that you want to prevent is that the operator see the new tool as a surveillance system, but not a support system. But with the mapping capacity, they saw, as long as they get to use it, they saw the advantage of it. We have developed such a maps with LiDAR data or satellite imagery that can help them really to process with the operation and navigating through the field. So once we get the acceptance of the operator, they see that as a plus to have in their operation. And we have seen this year that the operator are asking to expand the use of the application in the forwarder, and it's not mandated. It's really coming from the operator. So it's a good thing to know, to see that. So the lesson is that you don't have to you cannot underestimate the importance of human in the implementation of those systems. So you have to prepare the implementation quite with caution. We after first year, we really see a change of the information, that the quality of the information that we have. We were a better overview of all the operation throughout the field. So we were really pleased with the result. After the first year, we estimated grossly the return on the investment. The major benefit of that is that before using UpTracker, every supervisor will have to move on the field to get the tracking, and then the data was collected and processed in the field, in the office. So it takes a large portion of time and to process that data, have that data, and then so there was lag between the data collection and the usage to take the right decision then. We had better prevention of overruns from the block and had better compliance throughout the field. We had better knowledge in near real time of the progress of the harvesting, so it was easier to address any change in the demands or any mill closure because we had a better overview of where we're at the harvesting. Um, it was easier also on the field to predict when the machinery would move from one block to the other because we had the real depletion in near real time. So it was easier to plan the relocation of those machinery. Um, yeah, that's probably the main uh, benefit that we have, other than the um, the better support for the operator to with a better mapping system. With the data standardization and the RGIS integration, we were able to develop a dashboard where we all the data for collected by for each machinery was placed at the same place. So it was quite an advancement from the previous state of the level of knowledge from our operation. So it reduced a lot of calls throughout the company between the division and the supervisor to make sure that everyone had the same information. So we made a huge step toward business intelligence with the data collection that we have done for the first year. When you start implementing such a system, the main takeaway that you have to take into account is that technology is only one part of the answer. You really have to take to really consider how you will implement it to make sure that the operator will accept that. So the change management is equally important as the technology in itself. If you do not have the buy-in from the operator, the system becomes unoperable because if they do not use it and you do not cannot trust or rely on the data that is provided by it, it doesn't work. Doesn't work to invest in that. So the implementation with the operator is quite important. Don't underestimate the hardware and connectivity troubleshooting. I would say that 90% of the problem that we had didn't come from the application in itself. It comes with the tablets configuration and the connectivity, Wi-Fi connectivity configuration. So what we choose to do with that is that we provide, even if a tracker is BYOD, so it can be installed on about any device. We provided the device, so the tablet for each operator. So we control what the brand of the tablet, so it was all the same. So it was easier to implement on the field and do the troubleshooting because all operators work with the same system. So it's not to underestimate because it can really reduce the efficiency of the process. So there's a learning curve to implement the application, but once you get acclimatized to the results are quite quick to come. So we're really happy with that. So for this year, since the first year we had really low objective, we want to fulfill use all the other capabilities that we didn't put too much emphasis in the first year, like the GeoNote, the usage of the TPK throughout the company to standardize what the mapping inside the tablet are that operator may use, and all the tracking analysis that comes with the UpTracker Cloud solution. We have begun to expand also the UpTracker in the forwarder and the skidders at the request of the operator. Um, and with the data collection that we have, with the data that we can trust more and that is collected regularly and with good reliability, we're looking to develop automated reporting to support the decision making. We're still in the beginning, but we're uh, surely progressing to the quest of the have a better business intelligence coming from timely and accurate data.
Merci, Lloydie. Thank you. I forgot to note earlier on as well that we have left the chat open. You can ask your questions now. We'll pick them up obviously at the end here. And I'll carry on here, talk a little bit about the technology, give you a bit of a deeper dive for those of you that aren't familiar, and then we'll pause for questions. So what you just heard was what matters most, right? A real operation with real numbers and real people, the people that lived it. So I'll show you the technology. Everything that Lloydie has spoken about here runs on OpTracker, of course. I'm going to also touch on a second tool called Log365 that some of you won't have come across yet. So in our telematics space, we offer two tools built for forestry, of course, each solving a slightly different part of the data pipeline and problem. So OpTracker, as you've heard from Lloydie, it's a lot of it's about the field, right? Operator awareness, compliance, machine location. It's what gave Chantier their their live dashboard, right? Whether that's in ArcGIS or in our web application. Log365 works to solve a slightly different problem, and that is getting verified production data along with other domains off of your machines reliably. The slide describes them as one solution, and I do want to be clear about that. They are separate tools. You can adopt either on its own, but where we're heading with our telematics is to bring them into a shared foundation so that they tell a consistent story. That's the direction, but you might start with OpTracker, for example. The approach with scale, right? Hundreds of machines, multiple contractors, multiple regions, just as Lloydie has been describing. So OpTracker, as you've probably gathered from Lloydie, is machine agnostic, right? And there are three or several things that define it. When we say machine agnostic, what we're talking about is, a lot of telematics was originally built for highways, warehouses, trucks, or are built off of OEM systems that only cover that one brand, and that you're kind of locked down with that. The objective with OpTracker is to work across your whole mixed fleet, harvesters, forwarders, skidders, any brand. It's all in one system built on mobile application that sits in a tablet in your machine. It's also offline first. It's built for working where connectivity drops out for most of the day or days and weeks at a time. The goal is to sync that data as soon as connectivity returns. So different operations will take slightly different approaches depending on your context and connectivity options. We have those that work offline for months at a time and can send information via satellite. We have others who are able to sync regularly, daily, or even more often when they have immediate connectivity in the region. But all that to say is we're built offline first. That's a core design principle, not just sort of a workaround. Lloydie touched on this as well, the fact that it's ArcGIS native. If you are already in that environment, your spatial data can live where all of that already exists, and you can pass that right over to OpTracker. It's not a hard requirement. We can implement OpTracker on our own ArcGIS enterprise platform, but it certainly integrates well. So underneath all of that, we have that cross-platform application on iOS, Android, and Windows. Near real-time GPS and that operator awareness that is critical when it comes to boundary proximity alerts and other notifications for them to be more obviously safe in the field, but also more effective. Really fundamentally, we want to try and keep this simple. And Lloydie alluded to this as well, right? In terms of operator buy-in, right? In the machine, the tablet with the application on it captures the sensor data from the tablet, and the operator sees their maps and alerts. All of that can work with no internet or connection. When connectivity returns, you can set it to sync automatically. So that replaces your manual data compilation and driving out to the field. In the office, you work with the data either in the OpTracker web application, where you can see all of the data, or you can build your own custom ArcGIS dashboards like Chantiers has done. You can build that on overall depletion, productivity metrics, and machine status and depletion. That's how we collapse all of those 38 machines or more into one dashboard. So the second tool is Log365. And as I mentioned, OpTracker tells you what's happening in the field, whereas Log365 answers a slightly different question. What was actually produced with data you can verify? At its core, it's really about a file transfer solution. So it's about moving Stanford data off of your machines reliably. That handoff has historically been sort of manual, fragile, again, OEM locked. The goal with Log365 is to make that automatic and auditable. So we pass that information from the field to the office to complement the data that you would be receiving with OpTracker. It's not just production data, right? It would be operational monitoring data where there is some similarities to OpTracker, of course, as well as quality control calibration data points. So those are the three kind of core domains of Stanford D. So for an operation, for example, running OpTracker already, it's a natural next step when production data becomes the priority. Where's all this going? So I want to come back to those three words from the opening because that's where we're investing in what we're aiming for. We want, in terms of reliability, telematics that just works even in the toughest connectivity conditions, right? We want to have confidence, have data that you can trust, explain, normalize across mixed fleets, and ultimately lead to better decisions, right? The groundwork for advanced analytics. So you can move from that position of, well, great, we have the data, but what do we do next, right? What comes next? Trust, visibility, and action. I'll wrap up on this sort of cycle, right? The cycle that applies across the board from planning to execution, measuring, and then adapting or adjusting your planning. That's the loop every operation already runs. The only thing telematics changes is how fast and how confidently you can run it and adapt it. How quickly what happens in the forest reaches the person who plans the next move. So back to where we started. Why do humans manage the forest? And I have to, I should be transparent. This is very much Chantier's question from an earlier presentation that they did with us. But really, it's because it's necessary, right? The land needs it, and so do the people who depend on it. Technology doesn't replace the human judgment. It just makes it sharper, right? And the clearest proof, it's in the story what you heard today, right? Operators started as skeptics, worried they were being watched, surveilled, and they became the ones who actually asked to expand the system. That's a real strong measure of value, not the dashboard, not the output, but the trust. Right? Okay, well, that's what we wanted to share with you today. So I see there's a number of questions in the chat and the Q&A. So I'll stop the slide presentation here, and we can move on to our Q&A.
Thanks, Simon and Lloydie. So I'll give you a few extra minutes to drop in any questions that you might want to put in there. In the meantime, I think we can get started with the ones that are in here, and I'll just go through them, guys, and either one of you can hop in and address which ones you think fits your role specifically. Joseph, could you elaborate more on your question for us?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I was just wondering, you have the harvesters going out and laying down the trees or logs, and then maybe a couple days later, the skidder driver comes up and he's or she is looking for the logs. And are their locations kept so that they can go right to the logs and don't miss out on any?
No, not for now. What we want to implement with the up tracker is that the forwarder or the skidder will have the tracking, so you will have the trails made by the harvester. So usually there's enough sufficient inventory that the skidder and forwarder can see the tree and doesn't miss any of the wood left on the field. But what we want to implement this year is the usage of the geonut, where the operator, when there's bunch, maybe that he fears that the skidder or the forwarder operator will miss, he could add those geonut, those point, those location where there's problematic bunch to make sure that the skidder and forwarder don't miss them.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, on to the next one. Let's go into the chat here. How did you verify the data you were getting? And then how did this tracking system change what the field, how does it change what the field forester does?
We don't rely exclusively on the data providing by the tracking system. So we have the satellite data, or we do operation with the ribbon also block. So we have different ways to ensure that the data we collect to have a better knowledge of what is done on the field. And for the forester on the field, what I say, it's one of the instead of how can I say that? The major change is instead of running each week for to see each machinery to collect the tracking, they now can have more time to analyze what the tracking is and the depletion of the block, the advancement of the harvesting, and talk to the harvester or the operator to have a better control of what they've done instead of just going one to machine to machine to collect the data each week. So it's not necessarily more information on the field, but it's a new way to working process to what he has to do each week.
Great.
I don't know if it's clear enough. As you probably understand, my English is not my first language. So.
It's fantastic. Were the machine operators employees or contractors?
In Quebec, usually the forest company do not own the machinery. So usually, for at least for us, it's a contractor-owned machinery. So sometimes operator own the machinery, but sometimes they're only worker for a contractor.
Okay. And a follow-up to that one, Chris says, in my province, I work with many contractors running small operations. One of their biggest concern is having operators quit and go elsewhere if they impose major changes like telematics. Did you have any operators leave because of implementing the system? And do you have any recommendations for this type of change management for anybody taking this on?
Yeah. I've worked before with other system, and what I was looking for when we implement the up tracker system is that the system that didn't need a lot of a massive investment in the hardware system. So with the BYOD approach with up tracker, you can use your smartphone for the need. But what we want to prevent is the resistance from the operator to buy or the contractor to buy those systems. So the Chantiers Chibougamau is the owner of the tablet, and we pay the license. To make sure for the harvesting part, to make sure that there's an acceptance of the operator for that. So we're convinced that where even with the investment, we have advantage because it reduce a lot of cost of collecting manually the data, and the information that's providing us, it's way more um, advantageous than having to not have the system. So that's why we provide the tablets and the license for the operator to avoid that kind of reaction. For the skidder and forwarder, we're not yet to pay for that and provide the tablets to all operator. So that's why it's more as a request from the operator. We're providing the tablets, but they're paying the license because they see there's an advantage for them.
Yeah. And if I can just add, I think what really impressed me about Chantier's story was just how intentional and deliberate they were from that change management perspective, right? So being a slow, deliberate rollout, allowing the operators to become comfortable and understand the technology, keep it minimal at first, and then introduce additional features. So when Lloydie talks about things like, now leveraging the geo nodes, well, that there's a lot of value there, but in order to kind of slow things down and help people become comfortable, don't introduce them to everything all at once, right? Lloydie, I'm curious if I can add to that question. Did you have any champions, right? Like an operator who was like, I guess, how did the forwarders hear of and come to you and say, well, I want this too, right? Was it the operators talking to each other, or?
Because we have contractor that owns the harvester and the forwarders, so they see the benefit to have both. So and some of them have already had system like a GPS, Garmin GPS that
Right.
Bluetooth exchanges and the tracking. So they wanted to have some kind of the similar kind of information because it's valuable for them.
That's right. So it replaces their fragmented systems as well, and
Yeah.
contractors can access much of the same data. Yeah. Yeah, it's not just for you. Yeah.
Great. We have two questions that kind of tie into each other, so I'll wrap them in one and we can go from there. Sarah says she's just trying to determine the initial cost of this tracking system versus some others that are out there. What makes this system more attractive than others? And Priscilla says, why did you choose Remsoft and OptTracker? So if we could wrap those two together, I think it's probably close to the same answer.
Now, with the economic context in forestry industry in Canada, one of the first requirements was the low investment level for the initial cost. So having we're using Samsung proactive tablets, so that retails about $100,000. So it's not a massive investment to equip um, all the operator or all the our equipment. I've seen in the past hardwares that were costing $1,000, and technology is evolving so fast that those hardwares last maybe 3 to 4 or 5 years at most. So we had plenty of our of system in the basement in the office that were not usable anymore. So that's one of the factor that we liked with the UpTracker. So it was a low cost in the hardware system to in first. And the other thing, since it's working on the tablet, it has a really friendly user interface. So you don't have to be have high knowledge in technology or informatics to operate it, even for a supervisor to do some troubleshooting. So that was one of the key elements that we wanted. We wanted friendly users for system because at the end of the day, it's the operator that works all day with those systems. So if they cannot work with it easily, it doesn't work to invest in that because you won't have the return that you expect for those systems.
And if I
Great.
can add to kind of the initial cost or the investment, there's different options with OpTracker as well, depending on your needs. From something as simple as running a tablet in the machine and syncing that, bringing the tablet back in to sync it, through to actual satellite communications devices for really remote operations. So again, it depends on your context and exactly what you're trying to obtain. But what we're seeing as well is that more and more companies are solving some of that satellite connection challenge themselves with things like Starlink, which then simplifies even further the implementation of OpTracker because you already have an existing connection to work with.
Yeah, and one other thing also that was interesting for us is the synchronization of the tracking on one side, but the synchronization of the mapping on the other side. So it was a really good way to ensure that the operator always working with the good version of the map or the delimitation of the block, which with other systems that we had before wasn't the case. And the possibility also to add TPK, so it's like background, so they can work with multiple backgrounds. So we provide them topography, contour lines, imagery, canopy height model. So it's tools that are really useful for them. So that was attractive for us to with the tracker. So the operator can switch from one to another depending the needs or the where he is in the field. So it's quite a great functionality.
Fantastic. Simon, I've got one for you. How invasive is the technology in the machines, and is there a big installation job, or is it plug and play?
That is a good natural follow-on from the previous question. It's not terribly invasive. It does involve obviously being able to mount a tablet in the machine, right? And so there would probably be some recommended mounts that we would suggest, or you can source yourself, that the tablet would then plug into. But beyond that, for the standard sort of this model of OpTracker, you just need to have a power source for your tablet and you're up and running. There are other versions of OpTracker that have data loggers and, as I said, have that satellite connection option. Those would obviously be a little bit more involved in terms of installation. But from the tablet perspective, it's a mount and the tablet and a connection. Lloydie, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, one thing to consider is for us, we do not own the machinery, so we don't need a real-time tracking system. So what we're aiming for the first year, it was to at least having the operator to synchronize once a week, just to make sure that at the end of the week we can do our reporting and have a graphs of what has been done over on the field. But with the implementation at larger scale, what we found useful, it was having connectivity, better connectivity, a Starlink system that allowed us to synchronize way much often. Now our operator own those Starlink system in their camps or their service truck, so they can synchronize regularly in the week. So and with the expansion, with the expanding to the forwarder and skidder, they will synchronize when they need because at least maybe there are 1 or 2 days gaps between the harvester and the skidder, so they will have to synchronize to have the tracking. So the synchronization will be more frequently. So that's why it's important to that we don't need we do not need a real-time tracking system for the productivity or other things to analyze. So for us it was okay.
Great. And then Sarah also asked, some of the newer models of cut-to-length harvesters have similar technology in the machines, as we know, right? Can this system be integrated into those machines as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say we're not trying to necessarily replace those built-in systems per se. The op tracker could absolutely be installed in a machine where that information is already available through the manufacturer. But what the real advantage is, and I think Lloyd alluded to this earlier, is mixed fleet implementations, right? And so if your machines are providing some of that data, it's often locked by OEM, and yes, you have a portal, you can access that information, but then it's a question of, well, you've got a dozen contractors and they've all got different machines and you've got three different OEM portals. How are you bringing all that information together? And that's where OpTracker really flattens it and simplifies it, and allows you just to have that one source of information. I will note that, and I'm curious if you're thinking of this in your question, is the machine head data, the Stanford D, so the production files that come off of the machines, that is the space that Log 365 plays in, and that we're sort of converging on as a whole in our telematics solutions here at Remsoft, which would probably be closer to bridging, I think, what you're referring to in your question, right? Sort of bringing all of those together, and using the rich data that's already available on the machines as well.
Great. Sebastian asked, do you use harvester head data to track your wood inventory, or do you still measure by hand?
Actually, since we have multiple division, each division had their own way to do. So, the latest acquisition was 1 year ago, 3 years ago. We're beginning to try to uniformize the process throughout all division of Chantiers Chibougamau. So we have mixed. Some are doing more measurement on the field, but we're looking at the standard D files to get those statistics too. So it's a matter of collecting the data at a timely frequency, and having those systems to be able to um, get that data and process that data. That is quite challenging for now for us. And still we have feller buncher, so which do not have those systems. So we'll probably still have a mixed system on the field.
And let me see. We have one more in here, and I think we covered it, but I just want to make sure, so I'm going to ask it anyway. Does Chantier have its operators doing the manual head data download using USBs, then uploading it to a database to get the production data? If so, how do you find that's working for you?
Actually, since we have mixed type of machinery, UpTracker allowed us to have standardized data for tracking and depletion, block depletion. That was the priority. Now we're working to see how we can collect those data, those data more automatically. We're not like a solution like Log 365 or others. There's plenty of company that's working for a solution for that. So we're still working throughout that to find a solution and a way to store that data and extract the information and do some reporting. But we're in the beginning of the process.
Great. And Simon, I'll throw out one last one for you that we didn't really get asked, but typically we do. And it's, how does OpTracker work without the internet for operations that are, way far away that they may not have?
Yeah, and I think maybe you've picked it up from the answers in the discussion as a whole, but I should answer it more concisely. Right, and Lloyd alluded to the bi-directional syncing of information, but essentially you would set up your tablet and you would define your harvest units and you would sync those to the tablet while you have a connection. And then you can take that and go anywhere with it. And whether or not you have a connection, you would have access to the information that was synced. So that would include, the boundaries, your ancillary layers, the tile packages, the TPKs that Lodi mentioned, all of the information that the operator needs, right, in order to work there remotely. And so they can operate for an indefinite period of time. Again, some are as much as a month or more. Lodi alluded to bringing it back sort of once a week, but it could be daily or more depending on the connection options. But really, you can set the application to sync automatically as soon as a connection is available, right? So some will request, and this might be easier when you own the machines, for the operators to bring the tablets back in with them, right, every day so that they can sync on a daily basis. Otherwise, it's just a matter of having a connection. And that syncs tracks and any geo notes and information that has been collected with the tablet back to the cloud, as well as will bring down any updates. So your maps and ancillary layers and whatnot will come with that in that bidirectional sync, and the operator continues on their way.
Perfect. Well, I think that's our last question. I don't see any more in here. I want to say thank you to everybody that joined us today, and thank you, Lodi and Simon. This was great. We had a lot of great questions. We'll be sending this recording out after this is done. Give us a couple of days to send it out, but probably within the next week or so. And we'll be sure to recap all of the answers that we've addressed here in the recording as well, so that you can have those for your notes. But thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks for your time, everyone. Thanks, Lodi. Merci.
Merci. Au revoir.